I've been having this long discussion with this fellow named Awesomenize1, and as you can see, there's several quotes, there's several passages here from him on my page, and I just wanted to kind of respond to some of them. He's telling me I'm being hypocritical because he asked me to ask him questions as well, which I don't remember him asking me to do, and that I wouldn't do that because I sicked my friends on him. Well, there were friends of mine that responded to him, but what you have to realize, Awesomenize, is that I have over 3,000 subscribers. When you put things like Bible passages on my page, people are going to find out about that. I talk to a lot of people. Does that mean that I asked them to respond to you? Actually, no. And you can ask them specifically. I did not ask them to respond to you. But you got to realize that that's going to ruffle some feathers. That's going to upset people because as pagans, we get a lot of Christians who want to proselytize to us and tell us that we're wrong for believing what we believe. And frankly, it takes a lot of us off. And so what you did was ruffle some feathers on my page, and you should have expected people to retaliate to that. If you didn't, then you're awfully naive. You said they were claiming things about the Bible left and right. Well, they're going to, because most pagans are ex-Christians, and so therefore they know the Bible and are going to make claims about it if you're going to make claims about our religion as well. And you were making lots of false claims about our religion based on what I can understand, bad research, and so that's why I asked you to ask me questions about my faith, because you were making claims about my religion that weren't true. Now, if anybody made claims about your religion that wasn't true, then you had the right to ask them where they got that information. As far as I know, you didn't do that. But you do say here that you would consider asking me about my faith if I would ask you about yours. Now, the whole word consider there is, basically an out for you, where you'd say, well, I decided not to. And I can pretty much bet that regardless of what questions I ask you, you're probably not going to come back and ask me much, if anything, about my religion, because I don't think you really know what to ask. But I'd like to start a dialogue with you simply because I notice all the fallacies that you brought up and all the problems that you have with my religion and with what I do are basically wrong. And so I wanted to get to the heart of that. But anyway, if you would like me to ask you questions about my religion, about your religion, that is, I'm going to warn you that I used to be Christian like most other pagans. And so therefore I know the Bible quite well. And the questions I'm going to ask you are not going to be easy, but I will ask you questions. So the latter part of this video is going to be me asking you a series of questions, and I can expect that the questions aren't going to be easy for you to answer. The first question I'm going to ask you is the most important, and that is, do you believe that your God is perfect in that he is perfectly powerful, perfectly knowledgeable, and perfectly good and just? The reason I say that's the most important question is because all other questions that I will ask you will basically be based off your answer to that question. There will be a few others, but most of the questions will be based off your answer to that question. So I'm going to have to do an either or in this video. I will first pose to you the question that you would suggest if your answer to the first question is yes. I believe that my God is perfectly just, perfectly knowledgeable, and perfectly strong. I should note that I will not accept the following as answers. God works in mysterious ways. Do not question the will of God. Just have faith. These are statements that are not actual answers. Instead, basically what you're saying when you say this is, I don't know, and you're not justified in asking me. Now, if you do suppose that God is perfect in the ways named before, then how do you explain evil? I'll put it this way. Most everyone will agree that evil exists in the world. So why would a perfectly good and just God, who is capable of stopping evil, allow evil in the world? I mean, he's either not perfectly just, or not capable of stopping it. If you have a different answer, please let me know. Now, supposing once again that you believe that God is perfect in the ways described in the first question, do you believe that we have free will? Let me break it down for you. So, supposing that God is almighty and willed us into being, and also supposing that He is all-knowing and knows everything that we're going to do, He therefore willed us into being, knowing every action we are going to do. Now, being that God is all-knowing and all-powerful, meaning that He always knows everything and He's the most powerful being ever, are we able to then create our own path outside of what God has already pre-willed for us? If you believe yes, we do have the free will to create our own path and our own decisions, then how do you explain God being all-knowing and all-powerful if we can circumvent His knowledge? And if you don't believe that we have free will, then how can you explain us being held accountable for our actions by this all-knowing, all-good and just deity? If you suppose that your God is perfectly just, please explain how killing the firstborn sons of Egypt represents any sense of justice. Remember that some of the sons of Egypt were young children with no involvement or awareness of what the Pharaoh was doing. So how was it just to take their lives instead of killing the Pharaoh? Do you think there was a less violent way of getting the message across? And, of course, do you think that that your God's actions were just in this case? If God is supposedly all-knowing and the Bible is supposedly 100% true, why could God not locate Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden? If you look back to the Genesis story, after they ate the apple, God could not find them in the Garden of Eden and had to go looking for them. But if God is all-knowing, He should have then known where they were. So how do you explain an all-knowing deity not being able to locate someone? Do you believe that women are inferior beings who are forced to marry their rapists, be kept silent in church, educated only at the behest of their husbands, and instead only be keepers of the home? If so, do you believe this is because Eve was the tempter of Adam and caused sin of the world? And if that's so, do you believe that it's just and fair to blame all women for the sin of their ancestor? Now, if you don't think women are inferior, I want you to tell me how it is that you justify that belief and the belief that the Bible is 100% true. Now, if you don't think that your God is as I described, then I want to know what you think God is, number one, and number two, what it is, how you justify your belief in God being different from the belief in God that's obviously described in the Bible with the characteristics that I mentioned. Now, if you don't believe that the Bible is infallible, which I do think in your latest video you say that you do, then I want to know why it is that you justify certain parts of the Bible being true and not others. If you do think the Bible is true, then you have some explaining to do about the questions that I left for you. If you can't give me accurate answers as to how to reconcile the character of the God of the Bible and the Bible itself, then you have to either, suppose that either the God of the Bible isn't the true God, or that the Bible itself is not infallible. If it's the latter of the two, then obviously we have to suppose that some of the information in the Bible is not true, and therefore you shouldn't go just on information within the Bible as a source to bash other people's religion with. You mentioned in your latest video that the word demon is an evil word. And here's what you have to understand. We don't consider the Bible to be a good source. So regardless of what it says in the Bible, that's not a good source for the etymology of the word. This is a website called the Online Etymology Dictionary. It's etymology.com. And this is their entry on the word demon. If you look, it says it's from the Greek daemon, which means lesser god, guiding spirit, and tutelary deity, sometimes including souls of the dead. It's word meaning spirit from Latin. That's it. It does not mean bad or good. Now it says Christian Greek translations mean God of the heathen and unclean spirit, but obviously that's referring to biblical translations, which we don't consider to be good translations because there's no real reason to consider the Bible to be a good source for anything. And that's what I'm trying to get you to prove. Why should we believe that your Bible and your religion is a better religion than our own? I mean, if you're going to come to our pages and post Bible quotes and tell us that our religion is evil, you have to be equipped with information in order to prove that to us. If you're not going to do that, then I don't understand why it was that you came to my page in the first place. So, that's what I'm looking for you to explain to me. If you can't do that, then I'm not sure why it is that you came to my page in the first place. Also, for no part of your answers will I accept the devil did it or anything of that nature. Once again, that would be a cop-out and not really explaining your answers with logic. What I'm looking for here is for you to explain yourself with critical thinking. That is, things that are rooted in truth and not in fiction. We'll see if you can do that.